Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome to another episode of the Tech Preacher Podcast. So, listen, man. Oh, we having some fun. I love that music. Uh, in this episode, we're going to talk about security, right? Because I've received a comment on my YouTube channel. Because I've been kind of holding some of the mid-tier and the lower-end devices feet to the fire when it comes down to security. Right. I've been making videos and, with some of the lower tier devices, some of the budget options, some of the rugged devices. And one of the things that I criticize these devices is security. Right. Because, look, I understand that these companies doesn't have a lot of resources and stuff like that because of the devices is cheap. But I believe security is probably the number one pet peeve of me. So I've been reading a couple of comments on my channel, and I've been kind of going haywire talking about security and updates with the lower tier devices. Because look, not everybody want to spend over $1,000 for high end so-called flagships, right? But a lot of people want devices that's good for the pocketbook, right? I mean, people just don't want to spend that kind of money, and I totally understand that. Especially when you talk about a smartphone. But here's the thing. Most people carry smartphones. So, and most people do a lot on these smartphones. Mobile payments. They pay stuff online. A lot of people run their businesses with smartphones. A lot of things is being done from the consumer perspective on a smartphone. And security has to be your number one thing, because I believe that our smartphones need to be secured. Now, on the iOS side, if you're an iPhone user, you don't have these issues, right? Because if Apple pretty much supports their devices for a very long time. Their devices are secure. Now, they do have breaches every now and then, but a lot of people on the Apple ecosystem pretty much safe for the most part, unless you have a very, very old device that's no longer supported. But on the Android side, there's so many devices. I mean, it's so many companies, so many devices from the lower tier, the mid tier, the upper flagship, and the upper higher flagship. And, they come to the affordables, right? The affordable price point all the way up to the extreme high end. And one of the questions in the comment was, I'm not really worried about OS updates. And do we need security patches, right? And, I believe that these companies, especially on the budget in the low end and the mid range, if they're not going to give us OS updates, they need to at least put out security patches. Now, they have in the Android ecosystem, right? In the Play Store, they do put out patches to secure the apps, right? So the Play Store will always put out updates for the app. So I would say that make sure your apps are updated, right? But that doesn't, give them a pass to not give you a security patch. And so for the last couple of weeks, I've been making videos with certain devices, and I talk about security patches, and I talked about OS updates. Now we know that the Samsungs and these other companies that's coming out saying that Google and stuff saying that the newer devices, right, is gonna support their devices and give it OS updates up to 7 years, which is fantastic. If you go back a couple of years, they was only giving you maybe 3 years or 4 years or maybe 2 years if you go further back. 2 years worth of updates. If you go back to 2020 and 2021, if you still rocking with those devices, you was only getting about 2 years of updates and maybe 3 years of security patches. These companies really don't want you with their devices that long, but for people that like to rock devices till the wheels fall off, you are rocking those devices. So my concern, right, was that even if you don't give an OS update, listen, sometimes OS updates, we talk about it, they give you features and functionality, but a OS update is sometimes they just put a coat of paint on some things and they kind of move stuff around from here to there to kind of make it, things a little easier for the consumer. Okay, that's OS updates. But security patches, I believe, is kind of more important to me and to a lot of people to make sure that the devices are secure. Give you a prime example, right? In 2024, global data breaches is at its all-time high. Global data breaches and cyber attacks in 2024, and we're not even done yet. I mean, we just midway. It's at its all-time high. That's why I believe it's so important to talk about security. Think about this, right? Show y'all guys this on the screen. And when I'm showing you, listening to this, look at this. Global data breaches, right, and cyber attacks in 2024 has almost reached 36 billion known breaches. That's known breaches, right? Almost 36 billion globally breaches. So when we talk about security, especially when we talk about smartphones, because here's where the hackers are getting very clever. They texting you with the links. They're sending you emails with links. They're telling you stuff. Look, I receive them also. They'll send you a text message. They'll have a text message telling you that you won money. Click here to claim your money. And you click there, and all of a sudden you're giving hackers permissions and all that stuff like that. Sometimes you may have a permission pop up on your screen and you thinking you winning money. So you're going to click on everything. Say yes to this, say yes to that, and all that stuff. And you get permissions for we can do this. And you say yes, and you say yes, yes, yes. And all of a sudden your device is being hacked, your data being breached. And, so it's funny how we don't take this stuff serious. And I'm going to continue hounding these companies as far as security patches. And look, man, I know what a lot of people say. Well, don't buy cheap devices. Don't buy the $150 phones. Don't buy, the tablets, the cheap tablets. Don't buy the cheap this and the cheap that. Well, not everybody has that kind of money. And when you think about it, we look at it as a perspective of, I would never buy a cheap device. Like a lot of people have that kind of mindset. People have that kind of perspective that they would never buy a cheap device. But the reality part about it is a lot of people doesn't have the income to spend $1,000 on devices, right? A lot of people like to rock their devices for a long period of time. A lot of people, even when you talk about, well, you don't have to buy $1,000 device. They got devices for $600. $600, man. Listen, you think about that, right? We talk about $500 and $600 on smartphones and tablets, like that's pennies on a dollar. That's still expensive. Look, man, when I talk to a couple of people, man, and I know in the United States, you can finance phones, right? Finance tablets. You can finance almost anything on carriers. But not everybody have that type of credit to finance. And a lot of people that's not on the AT&T, the T-Mobiles, the Verizon, they don't have the luxury of, financing devices. Some people is on third-party companies, they're paying for data, they're paying for unlimited talk text and stuff like that. And those companies don't provide those type of luxuries of financing devices. You have to bring your own device. That means that you have to go out and buy a device and put it on their network. So that means when you go and you phone shopping and you're looking for a device, the first thing you're looking at is cost. If I have a $200 budget, right? I have a $200 budget and I'm trying to find a device within that $200. And look, I review a lot of phones within that budget range, right? And one of the questions I always hound these companies is about security, right? In all my videos, when I talk about the pros and cons or pros and opportunities, what do I talk about? This device is on Android, whatever. And it has last year's security patch. And listen, man, I believe that I don't care how much a device costs on the cheap end and even on the high end. It's these companies' responsibility at least to give you security patches. Now, I can understand that most companies won't give you OS updates. And a lot of people say, well, you know what? If I'm on Android 12, I'm fine. My device running fine. Okay, but even if you was on Android 12, you would like to get at least quarterly updates, at least 4. Think about this. You could get 4 security patches a year. Why not? I don't see the reason why they can't do that. They're quick to sell you a phone, but they don't want to support a device. And look, I know what people say. That's one of the reasons why I buy an iPhone, because I don't have those issues. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people get into the iOS, because they don't have those issues. Apple iPhones going all the way back to like the iPhone 12 and 11s and stuff like that is still getting support. But once you get into the Android ecosystem, Android has so many different carriers, well, so many different brands at different price points for the consumer. And I believe that we are at the point right now with the almost 36 billion cyber breaches and cyber attacks that's been recorded in 2024. I think it's time for us content creators and somebody to step in and say, hey, listen, if you go sell a device brand new in 2024, you have to commit to years of either quarterly security patches or bi-monthly or monthly security patches. And that is for the consumer. We need protection for the consumer. Remember, most people carry smartphones, and this is where your hackers and your cyber attacks always try to occur, because it looks like we're starting to get that on the smartphone now. We're starting to get that. Smartphones now are being attacked. And you get these phishing emails and you get these phishing text messages. And listen, I've received a bunch of text messages on different devices, and it tell you won money, or they'll tell you that, oh, something happened. You have to click this link and download this PDF and open it up and read what's going on and all that stuff like that. And look, us tech enthusiasts, we say we would never open that. We would never look at that. We would never click these links. We would never do. Listen, because we know the tech industry as tech enthusiasts. But the regular degular doesn't know all this stuff. The regular degulars, though, they feel when they see something, and it actually happened to me. I'm gonna tell this story. The regular degulars open it up and they say, oh my God, I just won money, man. I mean, God, let's see. I might have been lucky. I might have been blessed. I don't know. Let me click and see if I can get this $10,000. And they click that, they go through all the clicking and the clicking and the clicking, and all of a sudden it's gone. Money gone, right? I mean, listen, let me tell you a story, right? I was at my business, right? And I got a phone call, right? I got a phone call from a person claiming that they was my electric company, right? And so I picked up the phone and I said, okay, how you doing? Yeah, this is such and such from, my electric company. I said, okay, what's going on? Hey, listen, your power's about to go off for non-payment. And I'm like, huh, really? And yes, you have, an hour before we turn your lights off at your business. And I'm like, wow, how much you owe? And the guy told me a number, $300, $400 or whatever. And he said, well, listen, I could take payment right now to prevent your lights from being cut off. So listen, I'm saying to myself, well, wait a minute, why would the light company call me? And I know I got direct thing going back and forth. So as the guy was talking, I'm on my computer logging into my account for my business. And I'm looking at my account. I'm logged in and it's saying it's paid off. No balance due. But I'm on the phone with this guy. He's telling me, man, I could take payment over the phone. Go down and give me a card number so we can go down and settle this right now. And I was like, and he was aggressive. He was very aggressive. He was like, I really want to take care of you. I don't want your business power to go down and stuff like that. So I'm saying to myself, and listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you how authentic it was. So I told the guy, well, listen, I don't have my card on me. I had to go in my car. Can I get a phone number? Can I call you back? And he gave me a phone number, 1-800 number. I'm gonna tell you how authentic this was. So I hung up, right? But I've already saw my account and my account was up to date. But I wanted to see how badly this guy wanted to take my money from me. So I called the number back. And the elevator music was the same elevator music of the authentic light company. I mean, it had it down to a science. And it even had, thank you for calling, Entity. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, it was down to the science. When I called the number back, it was down to a science. And when I clicked the button, the same guy, usually when you call a company's back, right, you'll get a different person. No, the same guy answered the phone. So I'm like, wow, man. So I played the game with him. I said, yeah. So yeah, man, listen, I know I just called you and blase it is. Let's go and take care of it. Give me your card, give me your credit card number so we can go on and make payment. And I told the guy, I said, listen, man, I know you're a hacker, man. I'm on my account. I'm looking at my account. It says paid, man, and stuff like that, man. Why y'all guys doing that to people? And he started laughing and he hung up on me. And if I would have gave him my credit card number, right? If I would have gave him my debit card number, not only he would have kept it on file, but he would have withdraw whatever amount that he could right on the spot after I would have gave him my number. And so I tell you, yeah, we get attacked, we get hacked and whatever, but a lot of people have to be smart about, giving your credit card information over the phone, especially when the person is aggressive, telling you that something about to get cut off or your water about to get cut off or your rent didn't get paid or you missed a payment on something or your cable bill hasn't been paid and we could take the payment over the phone right now. When those people that aggressive, you have to pause for a second and say, hey, listen, let me do some research here and I'll call you back. They don't want to hear that. Some of them try to stay on the phone with you to try to get that information out you right then and there. But you have to be aggressive. Say, hold on. And I would advise anybody, whatever company that you with, right? Light bill company, water bill, rent, whatever. They usually have a website where you usually can pay. You can look at your accounts. You can look at your last payment versus new payment and stuff like that. You have to have, your account information and log into your profile and look for yourself before you give your credit card over the phone. And before you click a link telling you won $1 million, or before you look at an email telling you that you missed a payment and you got to pay this and click this link and click that link and all that stuff like that, please just make sure you do your due diligence and do your research. Listen, if it take you 30 minutes, hey, pause for a second. Let me call you back. And you maybe do a Google search or try to pull up a bill or something and get their authentic 1-800 number and call that number back. Then don't give your credit card information over the phone. And I believe that that's one of the reasons why I hound these companies about security updates and security patches. Listen, man, I'm for the people. And I will stand for the people. And I think that when people say, well, don't buy cheap, don't buy this phone, don't buy this phone because they're not going to support it. Well, at this point, I believe that we talk about smartphones and I review smartphones on the low end. And, I'm going to keep hounding them. And look, I tell you, when I talk about this on my reviews and I talk about it doesn't get security patches and it won't get an OS update. I'm giving you the information to make a sound decision not to buy it or to buy it. If you buy it, then you already know that when you buy the device, you're not going to have security patches. You're not going to get an OS update. So you have to make a decision if you go buy the device or not. And if you do buy phones that doesn't get security patches, that doesn't get OS updates, just make sure that your Android system is updated, right? Make sure that your apps are updated and don't download APKs and root and boot in your phone unless you know what you're doing. And make sure that you don't have an open bootloader and stuff like that unless you know what you're doing. Make sure that all your apps are up to date, and make sure that you don't click on any links that you're not sure, and make sure that if you get emails or phone calls for people that want to solicit you, want you to give your credit card numbers on the spot, make sure you take a pause and wait and say, hold on, before I do that, let me call you back. Do some research before you give that out. And the reason why is because, listen, man, when you talk about almost 36 billion in 2024 global data breaches and cyber attacks, and we are in July, right? So we have a long ways to go. This is going to be history, and it's already history in the making of data breaches and cyber attacks already. That is very serious, and that's concerning, right? I would tell you that I would continue to review, the budget options, but I will always talk about security. And I go back and I revisit devices and I talk about this device hasn't got the security patch. So I give you the information. Listen, man, I want people to understand that if you're going to purchase budget devices, if you're going to purchase mid-tier devices that does not give security patches and updates, and you're okay with that, just make sure that you keep yourself secured. Make sure you probably don't put your credit card on the device and use it for mobile payments. Make sure that you don't click these cuckoo links and stuff like that. Make sure that your Android system apps are up to date. That is for your protection. That is for your protection. And I'm going to keep talking about it until I'm blue in the face that these companies need to support their devices at least a year and at least 2 to 4 years of security patches, even if it's going to be 3 or 4 security patches a year. That needs to happen, especially what we're going through right now with data breaches and stuff like that. All right, we gonna get on out of here. Another episode of the Tech Preacher Podcast. Would you buy a device that doesn't get support? I mean, look, money is funny. Would you buy a device that doesn't get support? Would you buy a device that doesn't get security patches? Even if it's, budget $150, $200. I do understand money is funny sometimes. People don't have $500 and $600 to spend on devices. Should carriers and should other, I don't know, I don't want to say government. I don't like government interfering in a lot of stuff. But should something happen, should the government interfere and say, hey, listen, if you're going to sell devices in the United States, it's mandatory that you have to give security patches. Should the government get involved? Let me know down in the comments. Oh, man. All right. We're going to see y'all guys next week. Same bat place, same bat time, baby. I'm out of here. Peace.